This tutorial explains how administrators at Adventist schools can set up attendance at their schools. In Jupyter, in admin mode, the screen on which you start setting up attendance is the Setup Attendance screen. The top option, Attendance Method, is important to set correctly for each school. There are three options. Daily should be selected for pre-K through 8 or K through 8 schools. For high schools, period should be selected. The option of class should not be used for Adventist schools. If you have multiple schools, you can use the school menu at the top to access a different school, and note that this school can have a different attendance method. These two options below are optional. Only homeroom teacher can take roll is typically used for large elementary schools to limit specials teachers from taking roll. For small schools, it is unnecessary, and if you do select it, you're going to have to link each student to a homeroom teacher so that that teacher can take roll. Additionally, this option allows you to limit the time period after which a teacher can change roll for any day. While these are optional, the next step is very important to set up correctly. This is the attendance codes. Attendance codes define the codes which teachers use to mark attendance in their gradebook. There are two sets of attendance codes, one for schools using daily attendance and the other for schools using period attendance. In this case, the school has selected daily attendance. These are the exact codes which should be set up for any school that is using daily attendance. Note there are three columns. The left-hand column is the attendance code, which will be clicked by the teacher. The center column is the description, and then the right-hand column is the count as option. Clicking it, you can change it to count as any of these options. The last option is on the right. If you select the box for admin only, that means that teachers will not be able to select this particular attendance code. It's typically not recommended for Adventist school to select this, especially for small schools. You can see here the attendance codes which should be used for daily attendance. Make sure that the information for any school that is using daily attendance, typically elementary schools, is filled in exactly as you see here, including the code, the description, and the count as menu. There are two additional fields at the bottom which you can use. However, these that you see above must be used. This may be a good time to pause the video and enter the codes in another tab or window for any schools that are using daily attendance. We're now going to switch to a school that is using period attendance. One thing you may notice are these two fields for the number of minutes. We'll cover these later. Scrolling below, you'll see that the attendance codes for any schools using period attendance are slightly different. The options are the same. It may be for larger high schools that you may have certain codes which are limited to administrators. However, it's up to the particular school and or conference to decide. Once again, make sure that the code field is exactly correct. This is exactly correct, as well as the count as is exactly correct. You have 4 optional fields which can be used, but make sure these are entered correctly. This may be a good time to pause the video and enter these codes in another tab or window for schools using period attendance. Once you have set up the codes for your school, we're going to return to the elementary school. The next screen is to go to Schedule and then School Days. This is where you define holidays and school days for your school and to define what days teachers are expected to take attendance. You can click any day and then you'll be provided with this menu where you can select the regular school menu, holiday, staff day, or canceled. By default, Saturday and Sunday are assumed to be non-school days. If you do, for example, have Sunday as a school day, you can select bulk edit, and you can choose any day from this menu, then set it to a particular bell schedule, and then select overwrite non-school days. This is for weekends only, and then OK. Note now all Sundays have the regular bell schedules. Likewise, if your school doesn't have school on Friday, you can click bulk edit, select all Fridays, and set it to holiday, and then OK. We recommend you use your school's calendar for the 2017-18 year and go through the entire year selecting any day, which may be a staff day or a holiday, and add those to the calendar at the beginning of the year. For most schools, these will be the steps necessary to set up attendance for the school. The final optional step needs only to be utilized by schools using period attendance. It's optional and not commonly utilized by Adventist schools. This option is available on the Schedule Bell Schedule screen. We're going to return to the school which is using the period bell schedule. On this screen, you can define one or more bell schedules for your school. Once a bell schedule is created, classes can be assigned to different periods. In this case, you can see that there are multiple periods, each with a start and end period, and the number of minutes of that period are defined here. You can have multiple bell schedules for half days and early release. Clicking here, you can see that the periods are slightly shorter, and this would be used for an early release or a half day. You can also even set up block or rotating schedules. See our help guide for further information on how to set these up. Once you set up the bell schedules for your school, you can return to Schedule School Days. Notice that once selected, you can click any day and you will see any bell schedules that have been named and created here. So for example, if this date is early release, you could select it and that bell schedule will be applied. Finally, if you do use bell schedules on the Setup Attendance screen, note that there are two fields for the number of minutes to count as a full day or a half day, visible here. Jupyter will add any periods in which a student was marked present or tardy, and they will be considered present for that period. These two fields define how many minutes worth of periods a student has to be present in order to be considered half day or full day present. Once again, bell schedules are optional, and for most schools, you can simply use the regular schedule preloaded in Jupyter and not set up any additional bell schedules. That covers how to set up attendance for Adventist schools. For further assistance, please refer to the Jupyter Quick Start Guide, which is a Word document, your conference Jupyter specialist, or Jupyter support, which can be reached at support@jupitered.com or by clicking Help on any screen in Jupyter.